Hey everyone! Today I'm going to create a virtual machine using Pilvayo API and my computer terminal. If you have no experience with terminal or API, then don't worry. It's going to be a fairly simple tutorial so everyone can follow. So first thing I want to do is open up terminal and web browser. Now let me put my terminal to the right side, make it a little bit smaller, and my browser to the left side. Then I'm going to open up URL app.pil.io. It's going to log me in automatically. If you haven't been logged in, you can log in. If you have no account, then you have to create an account. Once you're logged in, before starting to use API, we need to check two things. First, we need to check if our billing account is verified. Once that's done, we need to check if we have API token. If we don't have API token, we need to create one. So I'm going to create API token called createVM, since I'm going to use that token only for that project. And I have my token. Now, basically, I don't have to use my interface anymore, as everything I can do in interface I can also do in terminal using API, and since I can use API I can actually do more, I can automate it and so forth. So the next thing I want to do is go to the documentation. I can either type in the api.pil.io link or just press here. So the next thing, I'm searching up my scripts, my information, my parameters about VM and creating the VM. There are parameters, the return, the example of shell, and I'm going to copy my example. Next thing I want to go is find a suitable place on my terminal. Let's say scripts, and using Nano, which is text editor, create a new document. Now I'm gonna paste the script in, and I'm going over the script quickly. The first thing is curl, which connects our Pilvayo backend server using the command line tool. Then the next thing is the API key, which is obviously authentication. Without it, we cannot get access to our backend server. I'm going to paste my API token here, which we created earlier. Then there is a post command, and now after the post we need to tell the backend server what kind of virtual machine we want. For our example, I'm going to put the name createVM. I'm going to select the operating system name Ubuntu, the version 18.4. If you don't know the version, then you can simply select or check it from the interface by selecting compute, new, virtual machine, and check the versions here. Now, once we have the version done, we need to give the virtual machine how much space it's gonna use, for our case 20 gigabytes, how much CPU it's gonna use, how much RAM it's gonna use, this is 2 gigabytes, and give it a username, for our example 123, the password 1234, and the billing account. Billing account we can find again from the self-service interface. Select our billing account, copy the account ID. By the way, this is thing we have to do only one time. After that we already have our API key and the billing account ID. And once the billing account ID is in place, we can save the document. I'm using Ctrl+X shortcut, pressing yes, and naming the document createVM.sh. sh stands for shell. And now when I press enter, I check the files and I have this document called createVM.sh. To run it, I'm gonna use again sh command, createVM.sh, and I'm going to press enter. Now the process of creating the virtual machine, which our script is now doing, is going to take 3 minutes. So what we did here is we went and used the most simplest way you can use the API. You can automate it, you can build wrappers around it, and so forth. So basically there are a lot of other ways, and we are going to do tutorials how to use it even more extensively. So stay tuned about that. The other thing I want to talk about is that if you have any questions, if you got stuck somewhere, use our intercom. Our intercom chat is here. We usually answer in 5 minutes, so shouldn't be a really long wait. And since I'm at it, then the third thing is that on the example we used few lines. There are some things you can use even more. For example, backup, which is in default false. If you set it enable, it enables you to have a backup on this virtual machine, which does a backup once per week, and it holds total of 4 backups. It can be enabled later on as well. Most things can be changed later on as well. Then the next thing is public key, which you can add to creating your virtual machine. Public key is basically the SSH key. Then the source replica and UID, and you can use those to use some already created virtual machine snapshots to create new virtual machines. So in other words, once you have created a virtual machine, you have set it some kind of stacks there, some kind of setup that you like, that you want to replicate now many times, then this is the code you want to use. Again, intercom if you have any questions. And the last but not least, reserve public IP, which is right now set true. If you set it false, then your virtual machine will have no public IP, and it only will act as a LAN virtual machine. You can, again, change it later on if you want. So everything is up to you as an creator. So our script should be soon done. So what it returned us was this JSON structure. It told us how much memory we added, what kind of IP it has, MAC address, and so forth. And if you check our graphic side and we press this neat refresh button here, we will also see the VM here. Like it said, 1 MB CPU, 2 GB RAM, disk, and so forth. And as you know, you can change all those parameters and so forth. So yeah, thank you for your time. Have a nice evening. Bye.